You want to get pre-qualified before you start looking for a home because it'll give you an idea of how big of a home you should be looking for. I'll get to affordability a little bit later in this video, but this will kind of give you an idea and it'll save you time as a buyer and it'll also save the seller time. Plus, if you're already pre-qualified to buy a home, then this tells the seller that you're serious and you'll have the cash ready to purchase the home, because the last thing the seller wants to do is take their home off the market because somebody wants to buy it, and then 60 days later they find out that this person cannot get the cash to purchase the home. So if you are pre-qualified, you are more likely to get accepted with an offer because you have demonstrated that you'll be able to get the cash to purchase the home. I learned this lesson the hard way. So I was selling an apartment complex that I was a part owner of, and a lady brought me an offer through my agent, and she was not pre-qualified at the time, but she said that she wouldn't have any problems getting the cash. So I thought, okay, no big deal. She has good income, she has their experience, she should have no problem getting pre-qualified. And so she negotiated a 60-day kind of contingency to get this financial pre-qualification, which is pretty standard in commercial real estate deals. And then 60 days go by and she says, oh, I'm having some issues with my lender and this is going to take another 30 days. Another 30 days go by and we have taken the property off the market at this time. So now we're talking about 90 days off market. 90 days go by and she's like, I'm starting to have some more issues with another lender, so I'm going to start the whole process over with a different lender. At this point, I was like, we have been off the market for 3 months and we have no idea if she's going to get pre-qualified. 1 month later, we find out that she cannot get pre-qualified, so now we're off the market for 120 days or something like that. And at this point, I was like, oh my God. So we just canceled the deal and we had to start the whole process all over again. It ended up working in our favor because we got an even better offer, but that's why I don't even like looking at offers anymore unless this person is pre-qualified to purchase a property, and it will give you extra negotiating room in your offers. The way you get pre-qualified is by talking to a lender. Now, what you should also understand is that some lenders are going to charge you a whole lot less on the same mortgage as other lenders, so you want to do some shopping around. And if you're looking for some more help on how to do this, our team has articles on how to find the best mortgage on our website, theminority-mindset.com, and I'll also link an article for you up here and in the description below. The 3 main factors that a lender is going to look at when it comes to getting you pre-qualified and getting you a mortgage are your credit score, your income, and your debt. If you just want to get a mortgage, the minimum credit score that you need is something like 620. Now, if you just have a 620 credit score, you are not going to get very favorable rates and you're not going to get very favorable offers from your bank. If you really want to get more rebates and get the best offers from your bank, you should be looking for a credit score of something like 760 and above. Next thing is they're going to be looking at your income. They're going to want to see your W-2s, your pay stubs. They're going to want to see how long you've been at your job or in your industry and how much money you're making. And they're going to want to see this for at least 2 years if you're working a job. If you're self-employed, if you have your own business, they're going to want to see even more than that. And then they're going to want to look at your financial statements. They're going to want to see how much debt you have. And they're going to want to know if you have any credit card debt and all the different types of debt, because they're going to compare this to your income using something called a debt to income ratio. Essentially, what the bank is doing is they want to see if you are a good investment for their money. So they're just looking at the numbers and they're going to see, okay, this person's making a lot of money, they don't have a lot of debt, and they have a good credit score. Yes, they're a good investment for our money, and we don't have to charge them too much in fees because we think they're a good investment. But if they look at you and they say, ooh, this person has a lot of debt, their income is fine, but their credit score is also low, they don't seem as good of an investment, so we're going to have to take an extra risk. So we're going to charge you extra fees to make up for this higher risk. So if you want to get the best rates, you want to work on lowering this debt, you want to work on increasing your credit score, and you want to work on showing the bank that you have a steady stream of income. Second, let's talk about affordability, because if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you know the motto. Just because you can qualify to buy something does not mean you can afford it. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should probably do that. To really understand this, you have to look at real estate from different lenses. So let's start by looking at it from your real estate agent and your mortgage broker's perspective. Your real estate agent and your mortgage broker, they want you to buy the best home possible, which many times means the most expensive home possible, which also coincidentally means the biggest commission check possible for your real estate agent and your mortgage broker. Your wallet, on the other hand, wants you to buy the smallest home possible because that's going to keep more money in your bank account. And your Instagram page wants you to buy the home that you can't qualify for. Being able to afford your home comes down to 3 different things. It means affording the down payment, it means affording your monthly payment, and it means affording the closing costs, because a lot of times people forget about this. Starting with your down payment, when you buy a home, you gotta put some money down, and the amount of money you pay is gonna depend on what kind of mortgage you get. Typically, this is going to be something like 3 to 20% of the home value. So if you're buying a $100,000 home, we're talking about $3,000 to $20,000 down. If you go out and you get an FHA mortgage, so this is something that has lower qualifications, you can put down 3.5%. But because the qualifications are a little bit lower, the bank is going to look at you as a more risky investment and they're going to charge you a higher interest rate, and you're also going to have to pay an additional fee called PMI. PMI stands for private mortgage insurance, and it's a fee that you have to pay if you do not put down 20% or more on your home. So the bank makes you pay this fee, they make you buy this insurance because the bank thinks that you're a higher risk investment because there's a higher chance that they'll have to foreclose on you because you have less skin in the game. But what you have to understand about PMI is that it is not insurance for you. It's insurance for the bank. So the bank is making you buy their insurance because they think, or they're worried that there's a chance that they'll have to foreclose on you. In order to compensate for that risk, the bank makes you pay an extra fee. So if you do not put down 20%, you're gonna have to pay higher fees and you're gonna get a higher interest rate. That's why if you wanna be able to afford the home, I want you to have at least 20%. That way now you can buy the home, you can have more equity, you won't have to pay PMI, and you can get the better interest rates. Second, when it comes to your monthly payments, lots of times banks will say that your monthly payment should not be more than a third, 33% of how much money you're making. Now, I have seen in some instances that means how much money you're making before taxes, and in other instances, I've seen that mean 33% of what you're making after taxes. I want you to be a little bit safer here, and I don't want you to buy a home unless you can afford the monthly payment 4 times over with your net pay. That means your monthly payment should not be more than 25% of your actual take-home monthly pay. So if you're taking home $4,000 a month after taxes, your mortgage should not be more than $1,000. And finally, we have to talk about closing costs. So typically, this is going to range somewhere between 2 and 4% of your home value, depending on all the different things that you're getting and the insurance that you're getting and your mortgage. So you have to just remember that when you go to actually purchase the home, there are extra fees you have to pay. So if you're buying a $100,000 home, yes, $2,000 to $4,000 in additional fees. A lot of times people forget this, and what do? They take these costs and they put them on the back of their mortgage, and now you have to pay interest on these things. Know what the closing costs are. That way you can prepare for it and have the cash to afford these things. And one thing that I also don't want you to forget when it comes to closing costs is your moving costs, because guess what? It costs money to move. If you're going to use a moving service or anything like that, there is a cost to move from one home to the other. So just don't forget that. Third, should you use a real estate agent? So you need to understand that there's 2 different types of agents. You have buyer's agents and then you have listing agents. Buyer's agents are the ones that help you find the home to buy. Listing agents are the ones that help sellers sell their home. The way it works is if I'm selling my home through a real estate agent, I'm going to find a listing agent and I'm going to tell them, okay, you sell my property, and when you do, I'm going to pay you a 6% commission on the final sales price, but that commission is going to be split by you, the listing agent, and the buyer's agent. So the commission for your buyer's agent is paid by the seller, but the seller is paid by you. Because the money that I get, the seller, is going to be paid by you because that's the money you're paying me to buy the home. So you're paying me to buy the home, and then I'm paying both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. This is where people say that, okay, so if I go and buy a home without a buyer's agent, then the seller won't have to pay as much commission because now there's only a listing agent, not a buyer's agent. And so maybe the seller can discount the price of the home because now they don't have to pay as big of a commission. Sometimes that works, but a lot of times what listing agents do is they already pre-negotiate this with the seller, where if there's a buyer's agent, you're going to have to pay 6% commission, which is going to be split 3% by the buyer's agent and the listing agent. And if there is no buyer's agent, then the listing agent will take 5% commission instead of 6%. It doesn't always work like that, but sometimes it does. Plus, your buyer's agent can also save you a ton of headache and a ton of time. And if they're a good agent, that can also help you out with the negotiation to help you save more than that 3% when it comes to actually buying the home. So if you find yourself a good agent, their service will pay for their fee by itself. And if you find yourself a bad agent, well, now you're paying a premium for something that you don't necessarily need. Fourth, you gotta know what you want, because when it comes time for you to buy a home, this is not like Chipotle where you can go to the checkout counter and say, oh wait, I forgot to get extra guac. When it comes time for you to buy a home, you gotta know what you want before you get to the checkout counter. Not only do you wanna know exactly what you want in a home, but you also wanna kind of prioritize what's important and what's not as important, because there's a chance that you might not find everything that you want when it comes to buying a home, but you need to know what's very important and kind of make sure you prioritize those as opposed to the things that are not as important. So some of the things that you can pay attention to are the size of your home, the yard. Do you want a yard? If so, how big does it need to be? Maintenance, sometimes you're gonna find good deals on homes that need a lot of work, but is that something that you wanna do? Schools, the school district, if you have kids, you wanna know what kind of schools they're gonna be in. The neighborhood, is it a good area for you to be in? Is it close to highways if you gotta commute to work? How many bedrooms and bathrooms do you want? And what about the basement? Do you want a basement? Does it need to be walkout? How big does the basement need to be? Does it need to be finished? You might not know everything you want in the beginning, but as you start going through homes, start creating this list and prioritize what's most important and what's not as important, but you would like these things. That way you can tell your agent, that way they can show you the homes that fit your criteria. It will save you a ton of time. Fifth, when you finally find a home that you like, now is time to make the offer. This is where things get fun. So homes are a little bit different than other purchases like investments, because now you might not necessarily be trying to get the best deal because the home has more emotional value, right? This is the place where you want to build memories, it's where you want to raise a family, and it's where you want to be. It's not just something that you want to buy cheap, that way you can flip it for a higher price. So when it comes time to buying the home, you don't necessarily always have to try to get the best price possible, because if you really love a home, you want to make sure you get it. That being said, I also don't want you to overpay for the home. And so if you want to make a good offer, you need to first understand what kind of market that you're in. Are you in a buyer's market or a seller's market? When you're in a buyer's market, now there's a ton of inventory, homes for sale, but there aren't that many buyers. When you see that happen, you're gonna see sellers cutting their prices, trying to get more buyers looking at their homes. And when you're in a market like that, you're gonna have way more wiggle room on the price. In a seller's market, the seller has the upper hand. Now there's a ton of buyers, but not as many homes for sale. And this is when you see home prices going up. When you're in a seller's market, now the buyers have to compete against each other to buy the home. So if you're in a buyer's market, you're typically gonna have more leverage and more negotiating room, so you can be more aggressive with your offer. If you are in a seller's market, you might not. You might have to pay full asking price, and sometimes even more than asking price if you're really in a strong area, if you really want to buy that home. There's been situations in sellers markets where I've made an offer on a property and the seller would say, oh no, this is too low, we have another higher offer. And I will say, okay, take that. And then 30 days later, they have called me and said, oh, this other buyer backed off because they couldn't get the cash. Will you still be interested in buying the property at the original offer that you made? So that has happened where I have been rejected and then they called me back to buy the home because it was the type of market that we're in. In a seller's market, it is completely flipped. I have paid more than the asking price to buy certain properties that I want to own just because that's the market that we're in, and I need to be competitive in order to make sure that I get the property. This is where having a good real estate agent can really come in, because they should understand the market and they'll know based off of the neighborhood that you're buying in what type of offer you should come in. That way you can get the best deal possible. If your goal really is to get the best deal possible, then the best negotiating tip is just to be willing to walk away, because if you don't get the price you like, then walk away and find another deal. The last tip I want to give you when it comes to making the offer is the time of year that you buy a home, because if you're buying a home in the summer months, especially if you live in a northern state where it's colder, then that's when it's going to be the busiest season for real estate, and that's when you're going to see the most buyers out there, and that's typically when you see the highest prices of homes selling, because there's a lot of people buying homes. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. All you gotta do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.